This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, good morning and good evening. In the last session, we were discussing about sales transaction types and we finished discussing up to returns, right? So today, let's discuss about other processes and let's finish off the general discussion of all the transactions. So tomorrow we can move to like in detail how these are being controlled in the system. We'll just see tomorrow. Okay. So before that, let me show you something. So yesterday, one person got a job. One moment. Yeah, and he also has some typical question we could see. So got two offers. One is Accenture and some other product-based company. But you see his question, like in the IT industry, people work only for 40, 45 years of age. So he was little worried whether to get. So you want to get into SAP? He got opportunity, but now a question to join. So you don't need to worry, everyone. Everyone will retire in SAP. Okay. There are people who worked for 50, 60 years also in SAP. So we don't need to worry about these things. Get into the SAP first. Right. So in the last session, we finished discussing about returns. And let's go ahead with the credit memo. So what activity system performs when we create an order? Anyone? In the back end, what activity system performs? Anyone? What is the accounting entry happens when you create a sales order?
A revenue account credit is customer account debit if it is standard sales account.
Okay. So what is my question?
What is the standard account entry?
Yeah. At what transaction? I asked that order.
Stand-
I asked that
sir.
order. Right. So at
Yes,
order, will there be any transaction that is accounting entry? Where
account
actually the
entry
accounting entry will happen?
Customer
Invoice.
customer account.
invoice, creating invoice.
So when you create a sales order, there will not be any accounting entry. Only when you create a invoice, then there will be an accounting entry. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead. There are lots of background noise from some of you. Let me go ahead. Yeah. So after the credit memo, let's discuss about. Sorry, after returns, let's discuss about the credit memo. Credit memo. So in what scenarios we create a credit memo? That is whenever we need to give some money to the customer, we create credit memo. So the credit memo we create in the case of when user mistakenly overcharge the customer, we want to settle it, or the goods which we sold to the customer are totally damaged, right? Or as we discussed, the return delivery might be more costlier than the products delivered. So in all these cases, we go with credit memo. So wherever we want to give some money back to the customer, we do it with credit memo. So the process, you could see credit memo, we can create independently, or credit memo we can create we can create it with a reference. But what is more important when you create a credit memo? That is billing block. Let's say if I give this access of creating credit memo to the users, so they can process whatever the amount they want, right? So that should not be the case. Credit memo is when you are giving money back to the customer, you should have more authorizations. It cannot be like only one user can create everything kind of thing, right? So we need to have authorization for it, approval, because we are paying money to the customer, we have to check. So if you are trying to create a credit memo, by default, the document type for credit memo is CR. So by default, a credit memo will have a billing block. Right? You see this billing block. The user will create a credit memo and save it. Then whoever the authorized person to process this particular credit memo, an email would be sent to that person and they will check everything, the customer amount, everything, and they need to release this document. So what we mean by release the document? This has to be made blank. By default, it will be 08 credit check. So that has to be released. Release nothing but it has to be made as blank. Right? So credit memo user, once a user create, it cannot be directly processed. That means you cannot create a billing document immediately. So the authorized person has to cross check and then they have to release it. And credit memo is a order related billing process. There is no delivery in the credit memo. So we will be having delivery related billing and order related billing. Let's say you buy a laptop. So it's like related to what billing it is? Anyone? You buy a bike or you buy a laptop. It's a delivery related billing because a bike is delivered or a laptop is delivered, right? Along with the laptop, you have bought 1 year service package, AMC. Can service package be delivered or insurance? Is it delivered?
No, sir.
No.
They are intangible items, right? They are intangible items, insurance, service items. They are called as service items actually, and they are intangible where we don't have any delivery, right? But they are chargeable. We charge for them, right? So that is order related billing. Those things we create it with order. So they are order related billing. So this is credit memo, and credit memo is one example for order related billing. And whenever we create a credit memo, that means we are giving money back to the customer. So it will be revenue account debit to customer account credit, revenue account debit to customer account credit. The next is debit memo. So debit memo is when we want to charge extra from the customer. If customer fail to do the payment on time, we want to charge interest or late payment fee. Or in the previous invoice, we undercharged the customer. Our customer is asking for a special parking or something else, which is chargeable. So for anything, if you want to charge additional from the customer, then we go for debit memo. So debit memo is also an order related billing, and we don't have a delivery here. It's also an order related billing. And whenever we create a debit memo, the accounting entry is as we are charging from the customer, the accounting entry is customer account debit to revenue account credit, right? And you could see both are order related process, order related billing. In interest also they may ask a question, right? So can you tell or can you name some processes which are order related billing? So what are order related billing? These are the order related billing processes. Then next is invoice correction. Yesterday we discussed invoice can be created, invoice can be corrected, and invoice can be cancelled. If customer don't want that material and the customer want to return that material, you could cancel the invoice, right? So if there is a correction, we can do a correction, but we can never delete an invoice. That's what we have discussed, right? So invoice correction, as I told you, every process is already documented. I showed you the process documents folder, right? Every process is documented and you could go through process, how they work. So invoice correction, this is a special process. Invoice correction is a special process. How it works? So whenever we create an order, delivery and billing, let's say if user makes some mistake, usually mistake will not happen because everything will be copied from source to target. But if user manually changes something and there is some discrepancy between the order price and the billing price, we want to correct it. And when we want to correct this, then this process is a special process, and this particular will happen only in invoice correction. So let me the document. As I told you, right, the process documents, every process is documented here. You can also see invoice cancellation, invoice correction, every process. So if I go for invoice correction, so what is special about invoice correction? That is, you see, in this particular document, there is a material 1503. You see this? 1503 material and 10 quantity. And the price of each material is 2000 INR. Price of each material, you could see 2000. So order has been created, delivery has been done, then billing is also done. But at the time of billing, you see the price? 3000 INR. User has mistakenly changed the price from order, that is 3000 INR. So now we want to correct it back to 2000. How do we do that? As I told you, we could create a transaction independently, or we can create a transaction with reference, right? But there are few transactions. The reference is mandatory. We cannot create or process these documents independently. We have to mandatorily reference to the preceding document. So the idle time was increased to 15 minutes. Even then, we have this issue. So if we try to create an invoice correction, the document type is RK. RK. You see, system stops us. Okay, system stops and with reference to original billing document. The system will not allow us to proceed without a reference. So this is one process where we need a mandatory reference. Mandatory reference. So when we create a billing document, you see it asks for a mandatory reference and you give that particular billing document number. So what is the specialty about invoice correction? That is, you see the same line item has been copied twice, 1503, 1503. This is the line item what we have seen right earlier. So same line item copied twice. And you see first line item is grayed out and the second line item is editable. First line item is grayed out, second line item is editable. Then first line item is positive and the second line item is negative. You see this small dot kind of thing, that is negative. So first line item is positive and second line item is negative. Right. So this is how actually invoice correction, the special process behaves. So same item will be copied twice and first line item will be positive, second line item negative. So only second line item is editable, right? And we are working on the second line item, that is negative line item. We are working on the negative line item. So what happens? So whatever I just discussed here. So how system reacts? That is, if you increase the item value, then the document value will go into negative because we are working on a negative line item, right? So it will behave other way around. And accounting entry will get reversed, that is revenue account debit to customer account credit. And if you decrease the line item, the document will go increase. Because as it mentioned, we are working on a negative line item here, it behaves opposite way. So customer account debit to revenue account credit. So this is the invoice correction, a special process when we want to correct the invoice. Rush order. But before rush order, let us discuss cash sales. Cash sales and rush order are also special process. Cash sales is counter sales, like what we see in the retail stores. It could be Big Bazaar, it could be Chroma, it could be Costco, any store it could be. So cash sales is a retail business where customer walk into the store, buy the materials, pay them, take the bill, and just leave. So cash sales is also a special process. So here what happens is when we create a cash sales order, system will immediately create a delivery in the backend, automatic delivery. So how this automatic delivery is happening, that we'll discuss later when we get into the system and see the controls. Or how this, earlier we discussed RK, right? How RK is behaving that way, that also we'll discuss later. These all are being controlled by the backend controls. We'll discuss all those things. So in the cash sales, whenever we create a cash sales order, system automatically triggers a delivery in the backend and a bill will be printed and we hand over the bill to the customer so that customer can collect the bill, take the material and customer immediately leave the store. Because there would be lots of walk-ins, right? There are many people. So we need to clear the store at the earliest. So we print a bill and give it to the customer and customer will leave. But how would we know how much money we have now? Because sometimes customer might have paid extra. Sometimes the user might have given extra money to the customer, right? So in the cash sales, when you're creating transactions, the amount goes into a suspense account. Okay, that's called as cash settlement account. So end of the day, or once the shift is done with the user, then they do PGA. Yesterday we discussed, right? Without PGA, you are not supposed to create an accounting entry. So they do PGI and then system will settle the amount. That is cash settlement account debit. This accounting entry is completely different. You see, it's a cash settlement account debit. This is a suspense account, cash settlement account to revenue credit. So it's a different accounting entry. So this is cash sales in the retail industry is where you want to like clear the customers. Rush order are high priority orders. As and when you create order, rush order, it's confirmed. Rush order is confirmed as and when we create a order. To confirm, system could take the stock from anywhere. So these are high priority orders. So what is the similarity between rush order and cash sale? So there is one similarity, that is system will automatically create the delivery in the backend. In the rush order, system will automatically create the delivery in the backend so that we could immediately process the order and deliver the goods. Only the difference is in the cash sales, customer themselves take the materials, but in the rush order, company will do the delivery. Okay, in the rush order, company will do the delivery, but system will immediately trigger the delivery in backend. So when system will create a delivery automatically in the backend, when the materials are available, obviously system will make the stock available for rush orders. It will snatch quantity from any of the orders, various areas it will take the stock and it will keep confirmed. Right? So that is rush order, high priority orders. Then free of charge delivery. See, this is free of charge delivery, not free goods. Free goods is different. Free of charge delivery is different. Free goods means you are giving material free to customer, 1+1. That means the item you are buying and the item you are getting free, both are fully functional materials. Okay, 1+1. The item you are buying and the item you are getting free, both are fully functional materials. They are not samples or they are not trial materials. Okay, but when you want to give some samples to the customer so that they can try the material and later they can place an order, that is free of charge delivery. Will customer pay for samples? Anyone?
No.
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 Right? We don't, right? Customer will not pay for samples or sample material delivery. So we don't charge customer for that. We give it free to the customer. So this is free of charge delivery where it's not a fully functional material. This is a sample material. Okay, this is a sample material. So how do we do that? VS01 T code and free of charge delivery FD. Okay, FD. We create a delivery, but here you see we are not creating an invoice. This is not a performa. This is pro forma invoice. There's a typo here. It's a pro forma invoice. See, when customer is not paying, then why should we raise a billing document, right? If customer is paying, that's okay. But if customer is not paying, then why there is a billing document? Pro forma invoice means it's a dummy invoice. Okay, it's a dummy invoice. We just raise it. Why we do that? Because even though customer is not paying, but how do department knows what material is being delivered, why you are delivering, who is the sold to party, shipped to party, quantity, price? How do any department knows? That is through obviously billing document, the check invoice, right? So even though customer don't pay for a material, we have to raise an invoice. If customer pays, you can raise an invoice. If customer don't pay for it, you can raise a pro forma invoice. Okay, this is pro forma invoice. Then next is subsequent delivery free of charge. If the materials are damaged, what options a business has? Anyone?
There is a credit memo.
We can also replace the materials, right? It's not only giving back money, we can also replace the materials. We have two options, all right? So if there is a possibility to replace the materials, how do we do that? That is through SDF, subsequent delivery free of charge. Can customer take both advantage? Can customer get uh, a credit memo, and at the same time, can customer also get replacement of materials?
Not possible.
Right? It would be only one, right? It should be only one. It's not that both. So how it happens? So if a credit memo is already created, then system will not allow to create a SDF. If SDF is already created, then system will not allow us to create credit memo. So only one is possible. Only one is possible. So if you want to create a credit memo, okay, if you want to create a credit memo, so SDF it should not be done already. Okay, only one is possible. But how this SDF is processed, that is in the sales order tabs, we have one tab called as reason for rejection. In that, you need to mention reason for rejection, why you are rejecting this item, poor quality or high price or damage. It could be anything. You need to mention the reason for rejection. So once you reject, you see, order item should be rejected. So once you reject the item, then system will allow you to do the SDF. But if SDF is already done, then system will not allow you to do the credit memo. Any one is possible. So that is subsequent delivery free of charge. Then quantity contract. If you remember, we already discussed about a contract. Quantity contract is all about the contract on the quantity. So what is special about the contract? That is contract we create with a T code called as VA41. You see, VF41. This T code is different. What all we discussed apart from inquiry quotation, it is the same T code VA01. Inquiry quotation has separate T code VA11, VA21, and yeah, rest any other transaction, credit memo, debit memo, everything they are VA01. But contracts, it could be quantity contract, it could be value contract, anything it could be. It's created with VA41. And if it is a quantity contract, the document type is QC. QC. And what's special about this? That is target quantity. You see this? When you create a normal order, you just enter only quantity, 1 quantity, 10 quantity, whatever it is. But when you are creating a contract for a customer for the first time, you need to mention how much quantity this customer is going to buy and what is the validity period of this contract. That's we have to mention in the contract. This is value like quantity contract. If it is value contract, then the VK WKN.
VK11, sir.
What is it? Is it KMN or WKN?
VK11 value contract.
VK11. It will be only 2 digits, right? 3 digits. What is 3 characters? It should be KMN, I guess. KMN. So the WKN value contract. Payment contract document. WKN. Okay. Value. Sorry. Manusha, there is a lot of background noise from your side. Please, can you mute? Yeah. Sorry. VF31 we are discussing, right? This is VF41. Sorry. So VF41 contract. VF41 and WKN. WK1. So what is special here? That is target value. In the quantity contract, we have to mention target quantity, and here we have to mention target value. And apart from that, we should also mention here that is assortment module. Now in S4HANA, we don't need this assortment module because let's say if we are like having 10 materials, but out of that only 2 materials customer is allowed to buy under this particular value contract. That means we can tell system what materials are under value contract, what customer can buy. So how do we tell that in system? That is by creating a assortment module. How do we create assortment module? That is WSV2. WSV2 is a transaction code to create a assortment module. It's assortment module for value contract, WSV2. But now in S4HANA, we don't need to do that. In S4HANA, directly in the sales order itself, we can enter like what material, how much quantity they want to buy. So this all we can enter in the sales order itself. We don't need to create a assortment module. And the last one is scheduling agreement, VA31 / VA31. And scheduling agreement is DS. What is specialty about this scheduling agreement? As I told you, material and quantity, target quantity. So delivery date is also should be mentioned. That means target delivery date and target quantity both are predefined. Okay, these both are predefined. And if you see in the general sales what we discussed, for a scheduling agreement will not have a for a scheduling agreement. You see, there is no relation with sales order. There is no relation with the sales order in the scheduling agreement because why we create an order to get the confirmed quantity plus confirmed delivery date. When we already have confirmed quantity plus confirmed delivery date, which we know through scheduling agreement, then why we should create an order? It sounds logically right, but that will not happen actually. We'll see later. At the time of delivery, we'll see how this actually being processed. Because without creating an order, it's not possible for us to create a delivery. But in this case, it is allowing. Why it's allowing, we'll see at the time of delivery document type discussion. And see here, with the contract, with reference to contract, we have a sales order, right? So any sales order you create with reference to a contract, technically it is called as release order. So in the interest, they ask a question, what is release order? So release order is a sales order. It's the same standard sales order, which is created with reference to a contract. Right. So these are all the general sales processes what we have. So we'll stop it here today, and tomorrow we'll continue with the discussion of the backend, how these are being controlled. So before that, let me also tell you the structure of the sales document. So what we'll be discussing in the next session. So a sales document has a structure. A sales document has a structure. So what is the structure of a sales document? That is header. Sorry, it's a header, then item and schedule lines. Schedule lines. Header is what data comes at the header, data from customer master, data from enterprise structure, and the config data what we will discuss tomorrow. Okay, the T code is VOV8, the configuration controls are VOV8. So this all data comes at the header, and whatever the data comes at the header level, it is applicable to total total document. That means it's applicable to all the line items. Doesn't matter whether in a single sales order you have a laptop, a table, a bike. All three are different materials, three different properties, colors, everything is different. Right? But whatever comes at the header level, it is applicable to all the line items, okay, irrespective of the number of line item. All the line items, irrespective of the number of line items. At the item level, so what data comes at the item level? It's the data from material master, enterprise structure, and middle master, enterprise structure, and the controls are item category controls, VO, V7. So this data comes at the item level. And whatever the data comes at the item level is applicable only for that particular line item. Okay, it's applicable for only that particular line item. That means you have a table and you also have a laptop in a sales order. So the weight, volume, color, any control you take, they're different, right, between these two items. So whatever the data comes at the item level, it is applicable only for that particular line item. The next is schedule lines. Usually schedule lines belongs to line item. Let's say if customer has placed an order for 100 laptops, but as of date only 50 laptops are available, which can be delivered on 20th of June. And another 50 which is not available today can be delivered on 25th of June. Right? So schedule lines are nothing but, I just told you, right, at the time of scheduling agreement, we can create an order with, we can create a delivery without order. But is it possible? At the same time, I told it's not possible, right? So why it is not possible? Because of these schedule lines. Without a schedule line, you cannot create an order. The schedule line is nothing but confirmed quantity plus confirmed delivery date. Confirmed quantity plus confirmed delivery date. So one line item, that is laptops, one line item, that means we are asking for 100 laptops, right? But it is being delivered on two different dates, right? So one line item can have more than one schedule lines. Okay, it can have more than one schedule line. So this is the structure of the sales document. So first we'll start with VOV8. This will take 2 sessions. This will take 1 session, and this is 1 session. So most probably 4 to 5 sessions only for the sales document. Then delivery document 1 session. Then we can move on to pricing. Yeah, any question, please go ahead. This is for today. Any question, go ahead. Tomorrow we'll discuss VOV8.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
So I got a question that if we are planning SAP in any perfume industry,
Okay.
so the quantity means volume of the bottle will be same in that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to keep base unit of measure and sales unit of measure as a constant, means for every perfume I don't want to add it manually. So is there any control to keep that constant?
It's a constant, so it will never change, right? If your base unit is, let's say, ml,
Yeah.
your sales unit also you can put it as ml.
Yes, sir. I'm not saying that for one product I have maintained that manually. But if I want to create another product, so for that also I need to enter it manually only.
Okay, material master, what it is? It's a
Material
master
master.
data, right? It's a
Yeah.
master data. Master
Yes.
data has to be obviously entered because do you do this every day? Like a
No,
sales
sir.
order will you create? No,
No, sir.
right? So for the first time, once you have to enter everything manually.
Okay.
Or else what
So,
you could do is, see, there is a tool where we can insert a certain value into the field. Let's say you have 10,000 perfumes. For all
yes.
the 10,000 perfumes, today let's say you are maintaining ml,
Yes.
but from
Exactly.
tomorrow you want to sell it in bottles. You cannot go to change mode and change that ml to bottles, right? For 10,000 materials,
Yes. Yes.
not possible manually. So for that tool is available. The tool name is MASS. The T code itself is
Yeah.
MASS.
Yes.
MASS. So with that we could change it actually. But for initially, you have to maintain it manually. Master data team will
So,
do that.
yes. So I have replied them that for the first product which is there, we'll copy that and we will change the properties of that. So in that
You
case,
can
you
change.
won't have to be. Yes.
Either way, there are many ways to do that. It's up to the
Yes. Yes.
consultant knowledge and experience. Many ways to do that. If you want to copy and do that, you could do that.
So I have replied in this way, sir. Is it right?
Hmm. Yeah, it's right, but only for particular one field, we don't copy it.
Okay.
Because see,
Okay.
if you say that all the data from this material to other material is same except some like
Selected
sales
field.
line, or selected field, then you can copy it. But when you are maintaining the material itself as the complete material master, one field doesn't make a sense.
Okay, sir. No issues.
Yeah, so you can either copy it if you don't have any other change in the new material, or else you create every material independently.
Okay, sir. No issues. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Praveen, when will you start new batch?
Tomorrow morning, 7:15, it's starting.
Okay, please share the link. I will also join.
Yeah, I told you, right? Any day, any batch, please ping me 15 minutes before. Okay.
Okay.
On
What is the
WhatsApp,
time?
if you 7:15 tomorrow, a new batch is starting. Whether it is SD, S4, anything it can be. Even after 1 year, you want to take a revision, please ping me 15 minutes before on the WhatsApp. Okay.
Yes, sir. While maintaining the sales order types,
Hmm.
you are putting some code or something. So from where
They're called
that
as
standard.
document types. That's what we'll discuss on my
Document.
next session. Vivo V8. They are maintained at Vivo V8. That is what we'll discuss in the next session.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So we'll call it a day today, catch up tomorrow, and tomorrow we'll continue with the Vivo V8 document type control so that you will be knowing how the quotation is being created as a quotation or in noise correction, the cache sales, how they are being maintained or controlled. That all we'll discuss tomorrow. Good day and catch up
Please
tomorrow.
share the videos.
Yeah, I'll upload it. Tonight I'll upload it. Okay. Yeah, bye-bye.